to Washington, D.C. For a series of meetings this week. And so many of you may be aware of Milwaukee County's vision, which is by achieving racial equity, Milwaukee is the healthiest county in Wisconsin. And my office, the Milwaukee County Office of Equity, is part of that equation. It serves as a catalyst for systemic change to spur the growth. And what I mean by that, you may say, well, what do you mean by systemic change and catalyst and all of these, like $20 words, right? Like, what does that mean? And so what I mean by that is we support the work that the county executive has set out for us by bringing a high level of leadership, expertise, and accountability to advance the county's strategic goals, which are centered on creating intentional inclusion, bridging the gap, and investing in equity to help fulfill this vision. My team and I provide advice, guidance, and technical assistance to county leaders, divisions, boards and commissions, and municipalities to analyze the internal policies, programs, and initiatives so that we're able to advance a more equitable community. And to create a more equitable community, we're working alongside our peers and partners to create a Milwaukee County in which race no longer predicts health or quality of life outcomes. And we know that we want to improve these outcomes for everyone. And mental health, as you know, is a part of well-being. And it's among one of the outcomes that Milwaukee County is seeking to improve by increasing access to resources and support, especially where it's needed. In recent years, we've been working to redesign our behavioral health system and expand our mental health resources. And in doing so, we found that we needed a more holistic method or approach to wellness, and even thinking about our definition of wellness and well-being. One of the ways that we've done that is to implement this no wrong door approach, which was first introduced by Milwaukee County's Department of Health and Human Services. And this this style of service allows community members to get help no matter where their first entry point to the county is. The county executive is committed to helping those experiencing mental health challenges in our community receive the resources and services they need. As part of Milwaukee County's continued investment into health equity, we've taken several steps to be able to address mental health and substance misuse needs. And I'll give you a couple examples. So first example, that the county executive, David Crowley, signed legislation to allocate more than $600,000 in ARPA funds or American Rescue Plan Act funding for community mental health services in April 2023. And that's utilizing an equity-focused approach to address disparities in mental health outcomes in communities of color. $200,000 was also allocated to Walker's Point Youth and Family Center, and $400,000 went to City on a Hill to support a contract with them. Another example, Milwaukee County will continue to invest in mental health resources in 2024. And right now we have $1.6 million that's slated to help increase with pretrial mental health services so that we're able to better provide the criminal justice system with tools, or I should say, the justice system with tools to treat underlying mental health challenges instead of only utilizing incarceration as a tool, because we know that's not effective. Another example is with MHEC. So with the Mental Health Emergency Center, it completed its first year of operations in 2023. And we were able to serve more than 7,000 individuals who experienced a crisis. Milwaukee County also received funding from the opioid settlement projects, and there's continued commitment to addressing the sharp increase of fatal overdoses in the Black community, often stemming from mixing ingredients such as fentanyl and xylazine, as we're thinking about the illicit drug supply. The investment is sorely needed and timely, and because we know that the most rapidly growing sector of our community experiencing fatal overdoses is in our Black and Brown communities. And we feel a strong sense of urgency to make sure that we're not only putting strategies in place, but also dollars behind strategies to be able to address the issue. Now, while these are only a few of the examples of the work that's taking place around Milwaukee County in partnership with entities like the Mental Health Task Force, other system leaders and community members, the examples like the ones that I've shared demonstrate how we're continuing to focus on improving access as well as the quality of care in communities that are rich in culture, love, and really people working hard every day just to do their best. However, we also know that many of those same communities have historically been underserved. And so by doing so, we're helping people who live here in Milwaukee County be able to live their best lives and fulfill their full human potential. The work is moving toward our goal of becoming the healthiest county in Wisconsin. And as a community, we are writing the beginning of new chapters and pages of our Black history. Next. As part of today's celebration, I'd like to introduce you to Sonya Thompson, who's the artistic director of the Ko-Thi Dance Company.
As you guys can tell, I'm not Sonya. Oh, come on up, sugar. I was gonna tee you up. But most importantly, we want to give a special thank you to Independence First Wisconsin for allowing us to not only use this space, but they got a lot going on today. And they still made it possible for us to bring this rich cultural experience in. So we thank you guys. Shout out to some of the staffers along the back wall. We see y'all hey, round of applause for Independence First. Miss Sonya, the floor is yours. There's no pressure.
Oh, no pressure at all.
Right, she said, I do this.
Not at all. So, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Sonya Thompson. I'm the artistic director at Ko-Thi Dance Company. Today, we'll be having a little celebration with you all. And also for everyone, happy Black History Month. Yes.
Black History Month.
So our first dance is called Lamba, and Lamba tells a story by a king named Masa Musa. Basically, he was the richest king in his time. He decided to go on a journey, and this journey was a Hajj. So he took everybody, his wives, his servants, and he decided to go on this long journey across the Sahara Desert. In the process of going through the desert, he dropped off go at every village that he stopped by before they went to pray for 7 days straight. Our second dance is called Gumbe. Gumbe is a between. It also represents the Caribbean and also represents the Africa. So Gumbe is a celebration. And we're going to also end with a celebration with you. If y'all don't know, Ko-Thi will be turning 55 this year. Ko-Thi was founded in 1969 by Fern Crocker Bronson, that was born and raised in Sierra Leone. She decided to come into Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and create an African dance troupe. Yes, people like to call it troupe, but then she changed it to a company. She was also a full professor at UW for 45 years until she retired in 2015. After that, she just dedicated herself as an executive director and founder for Ko-Thi. So I hope you enjoy. Yes. Yes. No, we like when people look at us and stare at us. But no, it's not this kind of show. Sorry to inform y'all, we need y'all to speak up to us. You can say wow wow. Wow wow. You was like, oh, I like that. Ooh, I like that. So yeah, talk to us.
Okay.
Enjoy this.
All right.
We like to bring you on to this journey with us. Yes. So when we go to this roller coaster, y'all gonna be up there with us. And then we go down, y'all gonna feel that feeling. Yeah. So we gotta engage with that.
Ashe.
All right. So don't be too afraid. Clap, scream, shout. I know everybody. I'm working. Sometimes you can play just a little bit at work, just a little bit. Say, hey girl, you doing? Okay, clap. Yeah. Yes. Y'all ready?
Yes.
That was a little dry. Y'all ready?
Yes.
Let's see, can we take it up a little bit? You know, is y'all ready?
Yes.
Let me shut up. Woo, I'm tired. So we want to say thank you for having us. I know that that was kind of loud. Yes. We want to say thank you, and if you want any other information, I will be here. Yes. So have a blessed day.
Woo, I'm energized. I'm not going to be able to sit for the rest of the meeting down. It's a refresher. So I would like to take this time to introduce our next speakers. We have two actually wonderful former they are members of the Mental Health Task Force, but members of our steering committee. We have Brenda Wesley and Terri Ellzey that are going to present to us today via Staying on Track Inc. And they were here last month, but today they're going to present a teaser on why is the village burning.
Do we have another mic or is this the only one?
Yeah, two.
Two, thank you. Thank you for having us. Wasn't that a great performance? Terri and I, we used to say that every day is Black History, not just Black History Month. Unfortunately, there are entities that's trying to take away our history. And we are going to continue to celebrate us and celebrate everything that our community has brought to other communities as far as the color information and everything that is needed to uplift our community. Being on the task force and being part of the mental health task force, Terri and I, we always lobby for more representation of people of color to come to the task force meetings and what we needed to do and invite people to the table, but also to keep them at the table. So with that being said, that I used to be the director of education and outreach for NAMI Greater Milwaukee. I'm pretty sure all of you are aware of that. Terri used to be with the county, right?
Yes.
Absolutely. And so again, for many years, we have lobbied in order to bring our voices to the table. After leaving NAMI Greater Milwaukee, I developed my own nonprofit with my nephew, who is actually running for alderman in the 7th district, Randy Jones. So if you live in the 7th district, listen to what he has to say. So in our families that we've all been activists and in our communities. So when I developed Staying on Track, whatever is needed to keep our community healthy. I also developed a community outreach called ASK, and that's Access, Support, and Knowledge, where I developed a series of presentations for the community and by the community. So ASK is being resurrected and got a wonderful funding from the Ko-Thi Foundation to bring it back to life and also to bring Staying on Track back to life, because we need more people of color running nonprofit agencies as well. Because sometimes it's hard for us, the smaller guy, in order to get the large funding to create more capacity as well. So once I did that, I called up Terri and said, you know something, I need to develop these presentations and bring them into the year 2024. I developed ASK way back in 2008. But as Terri and I, we were talking about developing these presentations, we really found out too that a lot has not changed. As much as they've changed, a lot has stayed the same. And so we have to be on top of that, especially with our community. So these presentations are by the community, for the community. Everything that we do under Staying on Track, I acknowledge my son, Omar, because all the work that I do it for him. I have a niece that recently passed away from fentanyl poisoning. I have a sister that passed away from fentanyl poisoning as well. So again, just being out there to advocate in our community when it comes to drug addiction, when it comes to lack of mental health care. Again, Terri and I, we developed the curriculum. So take it back to the modules real quick, Terri. Right there. So Terri, if you just want to go through all of the presentations that we have developed for the community, and then we'll talk about the one that you guys will be. We're just going to give you a snippet of why is our village burning.
Hello, everyone. My name is Terri Ellzey, and I'm a LPC and a clinical substance abuse counselor. I am currently working as an independent contractor, and I want to thank Brenda for inviting me on board. Just a little, background. I am a mental health professional, but I'm also a social justice advocate, which is what I've been pretty much doing for the last maybe 3 or 4 years since COVID. And so, as a doctoral student, hopefully to have that done by the end of this year, I've dedicated time and attention to social justice issues. So to begin from there, so again, like Brenda said, not to go into too much of repeating what she said, is that so the first section, which I wanted to call it a community conversation, not just a presentation, and to talk about intro to mental health. The second one is more about mental health and child development, trauma, because we always talk about trauma and the relationship that African-American communities have with trauma, psychotropic medications, addiction and substance abuse, anti-stigma, which is a really big subject under this umbrella, mental health in jails, prisons, and the homeless. And then we also have our last one that talks about relationships, coping, and self-care for those of you who have persons in your family or lives that live with mental illness.
And again, these are community conversations, these presentations that we can go into churches, organizations, any setting that we can go into to reach the community as well. Not only can we do these presentations for professionals, but we want to reach out into our community so they can understand all of the dynamics here when we talk about mental health, mental illness, mental wellness, and again, addiction. So Terri and I, we were having a conversation about everything that's happening in our community. And it just didn't start today. It's historical. And so we started talking about historical trauma. Where does addiction come from? Where does trauma come from? Where does poverty come from? Why is our community being torn apart? Again, it just didn't happen yesterday. It started during the time of slavery when we were brought here. And I'll have Terri, I like the way she talked about it, because she said we are not immigrants. We're not, what do you say, Terri?
I said, we're not immigrants, we're not refugees, we're not colonists, we're not indigenous. We were enslaved. We are descendants of enslaved Africans from the transatlantic slave trade, which there is a lot of history, not only there, but also denied. And so it's important for us to keep that information going because they're really trying to eradicate it. And if it gets to the point where we're kind of like Egypt, where they'll start distorting the truth, we won't have an identity less than what we have already. So going into the background of this is one of the African proverbs is that it takes a village to raise a child. But what happens when the village is not there? So the other proverb not really talked about is children will burn the village down to embrace its warmth. So when children are neglected and rejected, that's what happens. And so Brenda and I, although this presentation was done after all the other ones, we felt it imperative to talk about how we got here because most environments don't allow us to really embrace and talk about how we are here today from previous traumas of the past. And so when we talk about history, we're allowed to talk about Revolutionary War, the Boston Tea Party, the Mayflower. We're allowed to talk about all those things, but we're not allowed to talk about a people who were enslaved for 249 years. And in that time, they had a moment of Reconstruction, which was the shortest period of prosperity for this group before white supremacy came in and started taking over that. And so what needs to be really understood, we're never going to get anywhere if we keep on doing the same thing, whitewashing history, and not really understanding how people who have always been stepped on, oppressed, as to why we have not been able to move forward. I can go into the weeds, but I'm not today. But I just want to include that in addition to the 249 years of slavery, we also had 89 years of Jim Crow. And whether or not people agree or disagree, there are still Jim Crow practices being done as of today.
So with that being said, so when we look at slavery, is that's when the family unit was broken down because the men were taken out of the homes. Women were taken away from their children. Men, women, and children were being sold. So that's when we started breaking down the family structure. And so when we go through the presentation, we want you to make the connection because we have families broken up today, even when we think about Jim Crow and the laws that were passed. There were good laws and then there's bad laws. So the laws that was passed to keep us down as a community, we want you to see that connection because it's happening today.
And we have to be honest. Voter suppression, banning books, we have to be honest about what that really means. I read a book by, I can't remember his last name is Lopez, and he talks about dog whistle politics. And politically, that's what this is. It is the colorblind racism of saying this is not happening when very well it is, right? And so Brenda and I are two people who have been very boisterous, as some of you know, about these things, but also blackballed because of these things. And so it took a lot for us to come here today to face our peers from a time when a lot of this stuff was being talked about, but not well received until after George Floyd.
So we have to continue to have these conversations. So again, in slavery, when the slaves were free, what were they free to? They were free to nothing. All the land that they worked, they didn't have that land. Jobs, they couldn't get jobs. So when we move on to Reconstruction, and so when we tried to create our own during Reconstruction, then they brought in the Jim Crow laws to tear us down again. So when we look at the impact of trauma and what has happened to our community over time, and then there was a time that you couldn't even read, but the Bible was given to the slaves, but sometimes the Bible was given to the slaves as a tool to oppress them and to put them in bondage. So again, tools were used, but then we go to the next phase after Jim Crow and we look at the churches. So we can talk a little bit about the churches too as we move forward.
So real quick, because I know 15 minutes can go really quick, but just kind of wanting to give you a picture that the church played two things. It played an oppressor, but it also played a liberator. So in the early years of the Black church, it was used as a school. It was used to educate political things that were going on. It helped support Black people in transition of freedom. And it also helped with the Underground Railroad, amongst a lot of other things. So again, this is not a total history lesson, but this is just a small blueprint of what happened, how we got here.
And the civil rights movement started in the bottom, in the basements of churches. That's where the civil rights movement started.
And
But
that
they
goes,
took that away from us. But
Yep.
go ahead.
it's not working anymore.
Well, I think we got it in our head that we probably can.
Well, I have it in my head. So so again, this is an hour and a half long presentation. So I'm gonna kind of go forward a little bit to like 2 slides forward to the crack cocaine epidemic and welfare. So again, when we go back to, and people that know me, I say, okay, we're going back to the plantation. So when you look at the plantation practices, and we're talking about demasculating men, taking children from women, and then now we forward wind to the era of crack cocaine and welfare. Okay. So crack cocaine took men off the streets because it had them selling drugs to support the income that was taken from them when they removed all the jobs in the community. That was pretty much hiring them to work. Then the women got on welfare. Little did they know they could not have the men living there. So the duality of one stream of Black men selling drugs, going to prison on some ridiculous laws at that time of crack cocaine versus cocaine, powder cocaine, and then you have women on welfare now systemically turning into like the 3rd generation, maybe 4th generation of welfare recipients, And then again, Black men are not having a role in their children's lives. And then we think about the laws by, I'm not going to go into politics, but those laws that were created to not give people second chances, but rather 3 strikes. And then they come home and there's absolutely no reentry services
Chime in.
whatsoever.
So chime in is, so we have these laws that were created. Men became incarcerated. They come home, there's no services. They can't live in the house with a female because she's getting services from welfare. So again, take it back to slavery. How do we break the Black family up? Then we take children away from families and we put them in foster care. But then when we reunite with families, sometimes we don't have these services to help families. So we have the male that can't live in the home with the female because now he's labeled a felon. So he's unable to even get his own apartment. So again, making that connection, slavery, Reconstruction, even during the time of Reconstruction, when Black people were afforded the opportunity to have their own stores and neighborhoods, that was burned down. That was burned down. Neighborhoods were burned down. And let's bring it forward. When you're trying to look for a house, redlining, you don't get loans. So again, all of this trauma that has happened with our community over the years, and again, with crack cocaine, that was intentional. All the laws were intentional. And it brings us, and it continues to bring us forward. But if we have providers that don't understand, now trauma is the catchword these days, but do you truly understand the traumatic events that have happened to families over the course of years? And we are still adding to the trauma as well.
So this is not about sympathy. This is about accountability. Because what happens is we got systems. We talk about racist systems, but like the Wizard of Oz, there was somebody behind the curtain executing that work. And so people can walk around, be colorblind, but systems do not operate without people working the system. And so no matter what people's excuses are, we know that if I go into a job interview and no matter how many qualifications I have, I am still going to be up against either not being qualified or I'm going to be started at a lower pay than my peers. So I want to bring up something that Brenda brought up a couple of while back about public school busing, because a lot of times African Americans think public school busing is a good thing because our children are going to white schools or better schools. But truth is, that's another separation of community, because now these children have to travel an hour and a half away from home to a whole nother community that they're not well received. And then their parents cannot be involved in the school system. And then that makes them look negligent because a lot of parents don't have transportation, or they're not. I mean, I went to Bayview and Clement Avenue back in the 80s. My mom didn't know how to get there, and she was born and raised in this city. And truth be told, white people weren't friendly.
And correct me if I'm wrong, because someone had mentioned this to me, is that Martin Luther King did say when he was talking about integration, a lot of you don't understand this. He said, "Did I send my people into a burning building?"
House.
So when we look at that and we look at integration and how our culture has been dismantled, that again, just February should not be Black history. It's all the time. And again, with CRT, critical race theory, everything trying to wipe out the history, and it's true history. So we cannot whitewash it. But what we have to do is tell the truth. And if we tell the truth and we identify it, then maybe we can start making the changes. So I think we need to wrap it up.
And it's not even about the, so I'm gonna end with this. It's not even about the truth. It's about listening, being understanding and empathetic. And this is just being really honest today because I have to be who I am. A lot of times when we try to have these conversations, they are shut down. People get offended, they get defensive, they have fragility, and that is not our fault. The more things that don't change, the more they stay the same. When you wonder why there is no representation, because y'all make it hard to be in these spots. Because we're not respected, we're not heard, and we refuse just to be a body at the table. So I hope today, as we conclude this message resonates with you all on this day, to know that one, this is not about Black History Month. This is about United States of America history, and they need to own it. Thank you.
Thank you to. Hello.
Oop, I turned it off. I'm
I
sorry.
didn't turn it off.
Thank you very much to Terri and Brenda, the tireless advocates, and it's nice to see you again in person. And before we end, we'll maybe put something on the website as how we can support you.
We'll
Okay,
be at MC3 too, doing the full presentation.
at MC3 doing the full
Yeah.
presentation.
February 24th, the Hope Library.
February 24th at the Good Hope Library, the full presentation, 1 to 4 p.m. Okay, we'll get that in writing. So, yes.
One question from the virtual, Shirley Drake asked, how can you infuse the value of peer specialist services into the presentations through Ask?
Oh. How can you infuse peer specialist services
In each of the presentations.
in each of the presentations?
Well, I think what we can do, I think we talk about when we say peers. So again, when we acknowledge that we have people that live with trauma and mental health, diagnosis or wellness or whatever you want to call it. But surely what I would like to do is that I would like to, through Ask, is train peers to actually do the presentations. Again, we have several different presentations. So it's always great to have other voices at the table out in the community doing the presentation and also identifying that I am a peer and this is what I've lived through. And surely, even with that being said, is that we are going to be doing the Pieces production again. I'm raising that up May 18th. And we do have peers that's part of the cast. So we hope that you will come out and peers will come out. But again, it's about being able to tell your story and to acknowledging people that live with the trauma and mental health diagnoses. I don't like using the word mental health issues because I don't think a diagnosis is an issue. Not finding a house is an issue. So I just had to put that out there. But anyway, but just have peers in the conversation.
Thank you, Brenda. Oh, but without further ado, let me reintroduce Sonya Thompson from the Ko-Thi Dance Company.
So once again, hello. So I'm here to talk about how the arts help mental illness. Yes, working with a couple of my colleagues that dealt with a lot of mental illness. If it wasn't for drumming and them going through their trauma as kids, they literally told me personally that they might well be maybe in jail, locked up, or maybe homeless or streets. So yeah, that's a factor. So Ko-Thi throughout the years not just help a lot of people finding themselves, it helped people save themselves. And also it helped me. I could say my story was after having my third child, I had a postpartum depression. And going through that, I was fighting myself. Yeah. So I didn't understand what my body was going through, the changes that was going through. And I was trying to seek help, but didn't know where to go. Yeah. So I was fighting my mental state of saying, do I want to be a human bottle for my child? Because I'm breastfeeding. Do I want to stay home for 6 weeks and not do nothing? Do I kind of put myself in these four walls? And the only thing I'm seeing is four walls every day. Walking through the house, changing diapers. And I'm saying, oh, I start my life all over again. Why? And I was asking myself, why? Why? And then I started to do things out of character. It was like going to work when I'm not supposed to because I'm supposed to be on my leave. I got in trouble. Then turned around. I didn't care. Then I go work again. Just trying to be or find myself being human again. So I stopped breastfeeding. And then the doctor was like, no, you can't do that. And then I was like, oh, well, what am I supposed to do? And she's like, oh, I think you having that episode. And I go, what is the episode? And then she told me, and she gave me like a pamphlet of everything. And so I said, She said, you just gotta find yourself. So after that, I'll kind of sneak in to rehearsals at nighttime. And I was finding myself through that. But then I would find myself through the lectures that a firm called Bryson were having during the daytime. So if I couldn't dance, let me get educated. So Ko-Thi was my education. It made me understand how to write, understand how to present myself, understand that being a Black woman. So I kind of just went on this journey of cutting my hair off, growing back my locks, educating myself of me finding my culture between my Jamaican heritage and me being Americanized, me understanding that I don't need to be like everybody else. I don't need to dress like everybody else. I don't need to speak like everybody else. That I can walk into the room and just my presence can be intimidating, and that I'm fine with that. And that was my piece. So Ko-Thi not just taught me about being in my womanhood, but it also say that I can shake my butt on stage. I can drop it like it's hot and not be assaulting, or I will not defend some people. I can be loud, and the loud don't have to be like an angry Black woman. It can be loud as that, hey, I'm here. See me? See who I am? Wink at me. I wink at you too. Yeah. And it's taught me to be human too. So I was not this funny at all. So,
Girl.
no, you know, I was a little dry.
No, you weren't.
But that's what it taught me. As I continue to grow in the path of learning who I was and understanding it's okay to be a mother. It's okay that you're going through these emotionals. It's okay. And I think the problem is that through mental illness, some people that can't find that okay. So okay for Ko-Thi was like, oh, we might can open them doors for people. So it was for my coworker. They got ADHD. He can't sit down no way. He's up and running left and right. When you put a drum in his hand, that's the only time he can sit down. But he talk through his drum.
Yes.
His hands is strong like his heart.
Yeah.
Some of our drummers and dancers' feet is strong and legs is strong because of this form. Understand to be grounded, understand to be free, and understand not to be enslaved. Because some of them think that walk out the door, they enslaved. So it was teaching them it's okay. And then for them to find their art. Now, Ko-Thi, we do African dance, but they can find their other stuff too in African dance. Some of them sing, some of them write poetry, some of them actually play guitars, some actually play flute. Yeah. So you just don't do African dance with Ko-Thi. You do other things as well. And it's also a delightful conversations, because every week we have a deep conversation about what do they see on a regular basis, even with our teens. So we do have a time Ko-Thi, and we little go Black, we need to go seek yourself. And we have these circles. And definitely where our kids that live in the zip code 53206, 53208, 112, 16, 05. They come with some stories now.
They now.
Yeah, they tell us, I want to believe my ear. But to have a listening ear is sometimes what everybody just needs. So I'm hoping that the end of this right here, that y'all see somebody, it's okay to say hello. If you even walk in the grocery store, say hello, say hi, how are you? Say how you been? Just to do that check-in. Because you don't know what the next person is going through. You might be going through some stuff, but they might be going through some deeper stuff. So next time you see somebody on the street, or if you say, walk out today, say Ashe. Yeah?
Yeah.
Say, how are you? Where you been? Where you going? Shoot, if they going somewhere good, say, can I go with? If they going to spend some money, I definitely want to go with. Can we go tomorrow? Cause just you open it up, and it don't have to be colored. You don't have to be black. You don't gotta be white. You don't gotta be brown, orange. You don't have to. Just to have walking in or even saying hello to somebody will open another can that you thought that would never open up. And then you might can actually experience something and have resources. You might be gifted, you might need to use them maybe down the road for something. But you won't know if you don't ask, if you don't speak, if you don't say hello, if you don't say hi. So I would like to say hello. Hello.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello.
Hey, look at you. Hello.
Hey.
How y'all doing? Did y'all okay today? Do y'all need anything? I might can't give y'all, no, don't ask for no money now. But I might can give you that, but I can give you an ear. Yes, we might can go for some coffee. Yes. So I'd like to say thank you for having me. This was a nice, wonderful journey. I want to say from within the circle of heart, I always love peace, respect, and blessings. Thank you. Any questions?
I have the microphone. I'm willing to bring it to you if you have questions for Sonya.
Contact information
Contact information. So
along with Ko-Thi.
Ko-Thi. So my contact information is my first name is Sonya, spelled Sonya, at Ko-Thi, spelled KO-THI.org. Ko-Thi is spelled KO-THI.org. You can find us on Facebook at Official Ko-Thi Dance Company. You can find us on Instagram at Ko-Thi Dance Company. And if you want to book us, you can find on info, INFO, at Ko-Thi.org.
And Miss,
One more thing.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you for your service, Doc.
Miss Sonya, what production are you gonna be choreographing?
So I've been knowing Brenda since I was a child. She bought me when I was just peeking out and I didn't know nothing. She knew me in my 20s. And I'll be choreographing her lovely piece from Pieces. So she taking me out of my high school days when I went to the High School of Arts and I did ballet and all that. So my knees gonna be hurting, y'all. Any other question?
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
So you gave a spectrum of the postpartum depression.
Mhm.
Did you feel a sense of when you could take a deep breath and say, I made it through? Can you identify a conclusion to it, or did it just kind of bleed and your life just took off?
Love that, Mary. So it was it was two ways. So it kind of took a long time to bleed through until I said, oh. And that didn't happen until my son turned like around 3. And that's when I kind of put him in school. It gave me like 3-4 hours alone. So I can go, oh, I can go to sleep, I'm cooking something to eat, and I don't gotta worry about nobody else but me. But then it also taught to say no to people, because I was a yes person. It taught me also to have quiet time throughout the day with or without my kids. To literally out my schedule, I need a nice 2 hours alone by myself. So that was me going to get my nails done or just go to the spa and get a nice little back rub. Any other questions?
Any over here, Hope?
Yeah, over here, y'all don't got no questions.
Anyone wondering how you memorize all those moves? I mean, oh my God.
Oh, hours of rehearsal. So we rehearse every Tuesday and Thursday from 7 to 10. So yes, that means after I leave here, I will be going to dance tonight in chorus class. And that's literally 355 days out of the year. We only get out of that year 2 months, then we get 2 weeks off. And but me, because I'm the artistic director, I don't have no breaks. So literally my mind is on a constantly going or evolving. But that's why I said it definitely is important, excuse me, to make sure that you take personal time out for yourself. To think, process, figure out where you're gonna go, where your dreams are, if you do have dreams. Or even put like a, you know how you put like the little $5 in your wallet every single day to save? Do that for your dreams. Like, create an envelope of saying, today, this is what I'm gonna do to build my dreams where I wanna go. If I don't meet them, that's okay, but tomorrow I'm gonna work a little bit harder. And you just constantly keep doing that until you actually say, I'm here. Yeah. Any other questions? Yeah.
Is there specific age groups that you work?
I work with all. From the age of K3 to all the way up until senior citizens. I do not stop. So having a boss that's 77 years old, she don't make you. She educates you of how to work with everybody. So yes, I work from the screaming to all to my back hurt. Yes, ma'am.
I'm glad that Ko-Thi continues. I'm glad that Ko-Thi has continued because we were the first set of dancers for Ko-Thi. And not only that, is that they, when we had to protest at UWM, we had to get petitions for UWM because they said that Warren's her program, her vision didn't have no value for us. And so we fought like hell to get it at UWM.
All right,
But we did get it at UWM.
all right.
But then I said too. You, I will be
I
saying.
say.
I said.
Any other questions? No? All right, thank you.
And the agenda.
Okay, I can,
Line up.
yeah, that's fine. So thank you very much, Sonya.
Thank you.
I mean, I called Terri and Brenda tireless, but you're even more tireless than they are. I'll take the next introduction. So Jessica Perez is online. So would you like to, I'll just do it from your seat. Do it.
Can I start?
Jessica Perez.
Okay,
Chrysalis in Madison. Yes, why don't you get started?
thank you. Well, first off, I just want to say how I feel so honored to be part of this meeting. The Ko-Thi, your dance performance was absolutely breathtaking, and the passion and energy just transcended. So thank you. I am a firm believer that the arts should play a pivotal role in mental health care. I know it saved my life in high school. So I also want to thank Brenda and Terri. It reminds me of a Shirley Chisholm quote that says, if they don't give you a seat at the table, bring your own folding chair. And Brenda and Terri, you bring a folding chair, you bring a voice, you bring culture, you bring history, you bring pieces and of the play and ask and staying on track. You bring so much, and I'm honored to know you both. And with that, I will get started. My name is Jessica, and thank you to the Milwaukee Mental Health Task Force meeting, Mary and Sally too, for allowing me to briefly talk about what's going on here at Chrysalis. So my name is Jessica Perez. I'm a certified peer specialist and the trainer and engagement coordinator for our certified peer specialist learning community. And I actually got my start as a certified peer specialist 10 years ago in Milwaukee, working in supportive houses and CSPs and the warm line there. Milwaukee has a very special place in my heart. Anyway, so we received, Chrysalis and Edo received a grant from the Department of Health Services, and it's a community support-based program that is going to provide technical assistance to Wisconsin-based organizations that directly work with underserved populations, providing substance use and opioid use services. So with that being said, I will put up the screen. I will have Alicia, who is the co-founder of the CPS-LC. Thank you, Alicia, for being here. Wonderful. Okay, so I'm going to go through the Certified Peer Specialist Learning Community of what it is. So if you'll scroll down, Alicia, yep, next. This is the team. I'm going to go briefly, but here we have Alicia, Danny, and Tara, and they are the co-founders of the CPS-LC. Tara is a trainer and has her own organization, Edo, Each One Teach One. Alicia is a co-founder, trainer, and a director of advocacy here at Chrysalis, and Danny is our executive director here at Chrysalis. Okay, and then we have, scroll down, we have a couple of trainers, me, Dominique, and we have our, peer specialist supervisor, Kurt, who is a certified peer specialist, because we truly believe best practice that a supervisor who is supervising peer specialists be themselves a certified peer specialist. And that's my soapbox for that. And then we have Riley, our technical communications coordinator. Okay, we'll scroll down. I know I have a brief time. It won't. So here at Chrysalis, our mission is to promote mental health and substance use recovery in our community by supporting work opportunities that encourage hope, healing, and wellness. The vision is a community where everyone belongs, a community that is stigma-free and rooted in racial and social justice, a community where wellness and recovery are possible. Work, education, and a sense of meaning and purpose are recognized as integral to recovery. Everyone has access to peer support and holistic, equitable mental health and substance use services, where diverse lived experience and strengths are celebrated. And then you'll see we have Edo. They provide peer support training and consulting services from a Black BIPOC-centered lived experience framework, a resiliency, and ingenuity. Edo is also a fiscally sponsored project of the Center for Community Stewardship, a 501c3 organization that increases Edo's capacity to support and serve in their community. And the Edo Culturally Rooted Project is a community recovery and wellness organization led by Wisconsin certified peer specialists. They take a holistic approach to individual and community wellness. They envision a community of peers who share lived experience of challenge and triumph to empower and uplift Black individuals, families, and communities across Wisconsin. And they understand that when Black people thrive, the entire community thrives. And so we are very honored to have Edo be a part of the CPS, a huge part of the CPS-LC. So it was created through that collaboration. We have a shared vision of peer support, expansion, and advocacy throughout the state of Wisconsin. We have a community learning model already facilitating 3 learning communities and trainings, and we're serving behavioral health services, social services, counties, and tribes. Thanks, Alicia. Our work. So we have an experienced team of, well, 4+ certified peer specialists and allies. We are committed to supporting the integration and expansion of peer support in Wisconsin communities. We aim to foster cultures of recovery and educate new and emerging organizations. Our focus areas, as I said earlier, were best practices. We have technical assistance, consultation, supervision, and we have human resources. So the cohort structure. So like I said earlier, this particular cohort is a grant that we received. It's 6 months. It will go from April to September. The cohort groups are peer specialist supervisors, and agency leaderships. The topics will be the role of a peer specialist, self-disclosure and boundaries, organizational structure, crisis peer support, substance use, opioid use. Will be for this particular grant pivotal, the SUD and the OUD, and the underserved communities here in this entire state of Wisconsin. Thank you, Alicia. So the cohort themes, we have peer specialist support spaces. We do the co-learning of peer specialists and non-peer specialist training. We celebrate diverse lived experience, and we promote the need for supervision by certified peer specialists. What some of our participants say, Dominique says, through active participation in the certified peer specialist learning community, I have gained practical knowledge that has significantly enhanced my organization's direct service provider's approach to providing support and continuing to work towards building out a peer program within my organization. So that's much appreciated from AYA Consulting Firm. And then I'll just do another one. This is a presentation that should be mandatory for all workers. I am just getting started and, oh, sorry. I am just getting started and I learned a ton. Well, thank you, Deborah. All right, from We Adapt. So we will move on to the next slide. Well, that's it. Does anyone have any questions? We did attach, before I open it up, we did have Sally attach the application for this particular cohort, more information, the toolkit on it, the flyer, but Alicia and I are happy to answer any questions. And if you don't have any at the moment, but you think of one later, you can please email Alicia at clark@workwithchrysalis.org. And that's that for right now. Any questions? Well, I guess I explained it rather thoroughly then. Well, take a look at all the documents. Yeah.
Recruited any Black males, you know, because it's hard to, you know, to have a peer specialist and no one look like them to. And then it's I don't know if Blacks would want to participate when they can't see themselves, because understanding where a person is coming from is so critical that you have someone that look like you.
You're absolutely correct. Thank you for sharing that. We don't have any Black males in the CPS-LC as of yet. We do have 2 Black females. This is why we are doing this grant, so that we can go and create sustainable peer support programs that have people of every different color, walk of life, experience. And the more that we go out into the underserved communities, the more we're going to be able to train and therefore hire peer specialists that look like each other. That's not the case all the time right now, and that's unfortunate. It's changing. You know, I know that was, the certified peer specialist trainings are going into all different areas now due to it being virtual. So they're going into different tribes, they're going into different counties where before it was just certain pockets. But you're absolutely correct.
Well, Jessica, thank you very much. We're at time. So if there's any other questions, you said that we can put them in the chat and deliver them to. Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone.
Okay. Da, 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 da. That's a trumpet for Montreal Cain. Montreal Cain is the founder of MERA, Wisconsin. He's presenting on Black inventors in the realm of mental health and substance use. MERA directly works with underserved populations, providing substance use disorder and obesity services. Without further ado, please welcome Montreal Cain.
Wesley needed Montreal Cain, amazing advocate and partner, and that is Montreal Cain.
And has developed an app to help people struggling with their mental health.
And it was the legendary Herbie Hancock that said music is the tool to express life and all that makes a difference.
He's trying to make getting that help that you need a little easier, putting it at your fingertips.
So that's exactly how Montreal Cain uses music right here in our community.
Solutions with Montreal Cain.
Montreal, thank you for joining.
Black man, hold it down, don't let no man see your flaws, show ambition. Black man, you're the baddest brother in shot town. Hold your head up, tilt your crown, show ambition. Right here is probably the only person that I consistently, work with and build with, who I have there's no negative, competitive, agenda-based energy from this man. You know what I'm saying? And so anything he says, I listen to, and I'm open to anything he has to say.
You make them feel safe. You make them feel heard. We had a whole session, something that Montreal was supposed to do, a group session. Montreal never made it to the group session. He never made it to the group session because he was in his office down the hall. And there was a young man in crisis who wanted to end his life. Montreal stayed with him, talked with him, made sure he was okay. We called this person, we called that person. He would not leave that room until he knew that this young person was okay. And that's who he is. If there was a young person out there in crisis right now, he wouldn't be on this stage. He would be out there talking to that person.
I see all the work that you do and I really appreciate you. The fact that people say there's not a lot of amazing dads out there like you, but I'm fortunate enough to see you every day means a lot to me. And the fact that even as busy as you are, even though you're a business owner and you out here in the community doing your thing, you still always make time for family. And that's really important too. So I love you.
No matter the day, you give the day 100%, sometimes 150, seen and unseen. And so I appreciate your drive, your ambition, and for placing God's purpose above what's easy, above what's comfortable, above what's convenient, above what anybody else would tell you to do. You always follow what would God say to do. And that overflows into how you love on people, how you care for them, how you steward over the gifts God gave you. And that's why this is called Parable of Talents, because you don't squander the things God placed inside of you.
That was an introduction, so I'm not gonna introduce myself. That's what I do. I like helping people. Innovation is important. And when we talk about Black history, we have to be intentional about understanding innovation. So let's make it plain for a second. Right now, that brown laptop is sharing the screen of this presentation. This iPad is my clicker. And when I worked at Apple, I had to think like, there has to be a more excellent way to use everything in life. But what I noticed was there wasn't a more excellent way to serve our community that is impacted by mental health. It is so important that when we talk about accessibility, think where we are right now. Independence first, right? When we talk about our partners like DRW and people who deal with different challenges, it's important that we have innovation. I was that young guy working at the Apple store, noticing that folks were coming in left and right, and they had these government issued checks for Medicaid and Medicare. They were buying witty inventions and expensive things, but one thing I noticed was none of them were Black. The 5 years that I worked at Apple, I helped so many people. I remember one of the amazing things I got a chance to do was to work with a brother from Minnesota who, I don't know the right way to say this. Brenda's in the room. Oh, I know that. I know not to say that, but he was quadriplegic. And I don't know if I said that right. So correct me. How do we say it, y'all? No, is he living with it? Is he? How do you say it? If I wanted to describe it.
What you just said.
Oh, just making sure, right?
What you just-
So that person had an idea. He wanted his iPad to read books to him, but there was no Siri. At best, we had something like Dragon Dictation, right? And this person had limited range of motion in his wrist. He could drive a motorized vehicle, but that's as far as it went. So to click on different text for it to read to you didn't exist. So I contacted a company called Telka in Canada. And I said, hey, I noticed through some research, shout out to Apple for giving me 11 hours to do research and development. I noticed that you have a Atari-like joystick controller. And I'm wondering if I was to solder that onto this person's chair, if they could control the iPad so voiceover could work for them. That's where it started. But MERA is where we are now. So thank you guys for this opportunity. We have a microphone. And Christine got on the shoes. She be working it. Listen, our steering committee members are fly. She has on some shoes. So we're actually going to do kind of a call and response type thing. Is that all right?
Yeah.
So who's a strong reader in the room? Anybody a strong reader?
I can read.
Better yet, who's a weak reader in the room? Okay. Perfect, perfect. So as we go through these slides, I want you to just take a moment and be a part of this presentation. And I want you to learn about some of the innovative folks that have contributed to mental health. And our first person is Kyra. You shouldn't have made eye contact. You shouldn't have. She said, oh my God. Did you take that microphone to Tyra? Kyra? Yeah, come on. She's like, you talking about me? Yeah, I gave you the shout out with them cute shoes. Look at them boots. Do y'all see them? Those white leather boots with the steel toe. Y'all might not see it at home, but she's rocking it. Can you read and tell us about Miss Campbell?
Well, I don't know if I can see it. Baby. Moore Campbell was an African-American author, journalist, teacher, and mental health advocate who worked tirelessly to shed light on the mental health needs of the Black community and other underrepresented communities. She's founder NAMI in Inglewood, in a predominantly Black neighborhood, to create a space that was safe for Black people to talk about mental health concerns. Throughout her time as an advocate, Campbell made her way to DC on June 2nd, 2008. Congress formally recognized Baby, is that correct, Baby? Moore Campbell National Minority Mental Health Awareness Month to bring awareness to the unique struggles that underrepresented groups face regarding mental illness in the US.
Now y'all give her a round of applause. You got it. Listen, we love our steering committee members. And if you look around, they have on these really nice tags. So afterwards, make sure you connect with one because the mental health task force is continuing to grow. I won't steal Mary's thunder later on, but make sure you recognize them in the room. Now, next up, we talking about mental health. And sometimes there's this weird discussion. Is mental health health? So let's do a poll by a show of hands. When we talk about healthcare, should mental health be included by a show of hands?
Amen.
Okay, it's unanimous. Thank you very much. a part of me wish if my phone was connected, because I promise you I would be playing music and it would be Prices Right now. But in addition to the mental health space, there are people who have also contributed to health, just like we just talked about, right? Our next volunteer, Miss Kyra, can you hand it to my brother Robert Walker here? He's like, what? Me? You calling on me? What just happened? Can you tell us who you are, a little bit about what you do, and then we're going to learn about Mr. Charles Drew.
Yes, my name is Robert Walker. I'm a public health strategist with the City of Milwaukee Health Department, and I focus on mental health and community resiliency.
Thank you, brother. Tell us about Mr. Drew. Wait. Round of applause. Before you go forward, it's important to know who's in the room and what they're working on, because we talk about silos all the time, but what happens is we're not sharing our platform. Who just saw the Super Bowl? Yeah. Did y'all see that young lady playing the lead guitar?
Yeah,
That was her. She's amazing, right? Shout out to Usher for sharing the platform. We're going to normalize that all 2024.
All right, Charles Drew. Every 2 seconds, someone in the U.S. needs blood. Thanks to Charles Drew, that blood is available. Drew was a physician, surgeon, and medical researcher who worked with a team at Red Cross on groundbreaking discoveries around blood transfusions. In World War II, he played a major role in developing the first large-scale blood banks and blood plasma programs. He also invented the "and get ready" because this name is pretty charming, blood mobiles. These are the refrigerated trucks that to this day safely transport stored blood to the locations where it is needed most. Drew was one of the most predominant doctors working in his field, and one of the only African Americans during a time when blood donations was still separate along lines of race. Drew eventually resigned from his position with the American Red Cross over their instances of adhering to this policy. It was 1950 before the Red Cross finally recognized all blood as being equal.
Y'all give it up for Charles Drew and Robert Walker. When we talk about our people and resilience, there was a last statement. It was until 1950 before the Red Cross finally recognized as blood, not your religion, not how much money you make, but the blood in your body as being equal. Who feels like they're learning something today? All right, that means we did okay. Robert, can you pass that microphone to Miss Desiree? Can you tell us who you are and a little bit about what you do as you get ready to tee up Miss Childs?
My name is Desiree Diaz. I am Dr. Apple's intern.
Dr. Apple, could you wave your hand? Another one of our fearless leaders and co-chairs for the Mental Health Task Force. Y'all give it up for Dr. Apple.
In 1969, E. Kitschchild helped to found the Association for Women in Psychology. She was also a founding member of Chicago's Gay Liberation Front. In addition to being a leader for women in psychology and the LGBTQ+ community, she also owned her own practice in which she provided therapy to LGBTQ+ folks, people living with HIV, AIDS, and other marginalized members of her community. She practiced feminist therapy and centered her research and work around the experiences of Black women and feminist theory.
You're still learning, say, yeah.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to teach you guys a word. I want you to repeat after me. Everybody say Jambo. Jambo means hello in Swahili. So it is more than okay to say Jambo. When I was working at the Apple store, every time I met someone, I would ask them to teach me something new. And when you work for Apple, you meet folks from everywhere, from Ireland, from Singapore. And I would always ask them, how do I say hello? one of the folks taught me how to say nice to meet you. So we're going to do this together. Y'all ready? Get your hands free. Make sure nothing falls when you get your hands free, okay? You want to take your left hand out, keep it up and flat like this. And I want you to take your right hand and slide across and say nice to meet you. One more time. Nice to meet you. That's American Sign Language for me. Now, next up, we have the great Miss Karen. If you could pass that microphone behind you, can you tell us who you are, what you do, and a little bit about Mr. Candy, too?
Good afternoon, all. I'm Karen Nelson, Vice President of Inclusion and Community Impact at Ellzey University, and formerly the inaugural EDI Director at Rogers Behavioral Health. Mr. Herman George Kennedy was a prominent Black clinical and social psychologist. He is credited with being the first psychologist to study the influence of rapport between an IQ test proctor and the subject, specifically researching how the race of a test proctor can create bias in IQ testing. He also helped to provide an understanding of testing environments that were suitable to help Black students succeed.
Now, how many of you guys feel encouraged hearing some of this information? Okay. Like a boom, 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 boom kind of clap. I said, how many of you all feel encouraged learning some of this information? Now, of course, I have to come over to Queen Mother Jeanette Herrera to tell us who you are, as well as a little bit about Mr. Combs.
Jeanette Herrera, a former educator, well, I'm still educated, it's a lifetime. So, community activist and.
Bring that mic up, Sugar.
I'm involved with everything, so that is, because I hold everybody accountable.
Yes, you do. And you open doors. You're not a gatekeeper. You are a door opener.
I don't keep gates.
Amen.
Don't have one at the house. No, just playing. Amen. So, James P. Comer. Dr. Comer is the Maurice Falk Professor of Child Psychiatry at the Yale University School of Medicine's Child Studies Center in New Haven, Connecticut. He is known nationally and internationally for his creation of the Comer School Development Program in 1968 within Yale University School of Medicine. Dr. Comer has focused his career on improving school reconstruction and has been featured in numerous newspaper, magazine, television reports, while also having several articles published in academia journals. He is a co-founder and past president of the Black Psychiatrists of America. Dr. Comer is the recipient of countless recognitions and holds over 48 honorary degrees. In 2014, Dr. Comer received a prestigious nomination by President Barack Obama to serve on the President's Commission on Educational Excellence for African Americans.
Are y'all still learning? Yeah. Well, I want to introduce you to another steering committee member. Come on down, Mr. Curtis. Can you tell us who you are? What you do, sir?
Curtis Marshall. I am a retired public health strategist from the Wisconsin Division of Public Health.
Can you tell us a little bit about Aunt Jan up here?
Yeah, Jana, she's an excellent esteemed professor of psychology at Stanford University. She's an expert on the consequences of the psychological association between race and crime, and has done extensive research on the topics of implicit bias, criminal justice, and the educational system, and her work has provided the evidence needed to educate law enforcement officers in implicit bias training. In 2014, Dr. Eva Hart worked work earned her the famous MacArthur Genius Grant Fellowship.
That's what I'm talking about. Now there's two amazing steering committee members that's sitting in a row right in front of you. We got Christine and we got Pete. What we're gonna do is just really quick. He's like, Montreal, what are you doing? We're gonna play rock, paper, scissors. All right. Rock, paper, scissors, and then on shoot. That's when we do it. All right. Here we go. You ready, Pete? Let's go. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Okay, you gotta do it on the shoot, the fourth. Yep. One more time. So rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Oh man, you done cut her wings. You get to choose, brother. Who's gonna read? he was pointing to you the entire time. I believe he's a distinguished gentleman. Ladies first, can we give it up for the gentleman? Can you tell us who you are, what you do, and a little bit about Miss Shirley too?
Okay, my name is Christine Alstrup and I'm employed at MERA House in Milwaukee that provides substance use disorder treatment for women. We have a family-centered approach, so we make sure the whole family's needs are met. And we treat mental health and substance use disorder at the same time.
Thank you so much for all you do.
Shirley Jackson, Dr. Shirley Jackson is an American psychiatrist who physicist, thank you, who received her PhD from the Massachusetts Institute of Technology in 1973. She was the first African-American woman to earn a doctorate in nuclear physics at MIT. In addition to her lengthy list of academic achievements, she also has an impressive number of inventions under her belt. Her experiments with theoretical physics paved the way for numerous developments in the telecommunications space, including the touchtone phone, the portable fax, caller ID, call waiting, and the fiber optic cable. Today, Dr. Shirley Jackson is the 18th president of the Rensselaer Polytech Institute in Troy, New York.
Now we're gonna do an extra applause because I didn't know how to say that either. Yeah. You say at the end. The beautiful thing that you guys have seen is this is a very condensed presentation. All right. There are hundreds and thousands of Black innovators and pioneers all across the globe. And if you want the full presentation so you can share it, we still have several days left. We have these individual memes that you can share on your social media. All you have to do is go to meracares.com, sign up for the newsletter, and we'll actually send that out to you tonight. So thank you all for this time. We have one more really important special guest. Christine, would you mind, Curtis, could you do me a favor? Could you grab that microphone for me? Could you walk on over this way and escort this lovely lady with the beautiful red hair right on up here for me?
Oh my God, it's my pleasure. It's made my day.
Isn't she lovely? Oh no, oh no, oh no. So one of the things, thank you, kind sir. This young lady right here, give her that microphone.
Thank you.
There would be no MERA without her and her family. And in 2014, I became aware and started to understand how different unfortunate events and ridiculous leadership can put us in situations where we were, and some days where we still are. It was at that time frame that I start understanding that if we start to educate more people about mental health, we would have the ability to not only save lives, we can't give life back, but this year, we're looking at 10 years of honoring and celebrating this amazing woman's lineage, her village, her birthright, her beautiful son, Mr. Dontre Hamilton. Y'all stand up on your feet. Don't clap yet. It's a real applause. Stand on your feet and give a round of applause for Miss Maria.
Thank you, Don. Oh, and so many other people in this room came to me and my family's need in 2014. I wasn't an activist. I was and still is Dr. Hamilton's mother. I'm his voice. I'm a part of the legacy that he left for anybody in the room to speak up about being traumatized, being pulled into having your life stolen. I'm not that woman anymore. I suffer from PTSD. So I went from caring for a child, a grown man who suffered from a mental illness, to actually having a mental illness that I struggle with even now, even still. But I'm wrong because of Brenda, Wesley, because of MERA, because of all of you all helping the process of caring for mental illness. I heard somebody ask today if mental illness was a health issue. It truly is. And we need to address it that way. But we can only do it if we help one another. It's necessary for everybody to participate in the change that Martin talked about, or there will be no change. So I'm here today under the invitation to talk about the celebration of life of Dr. Hamilton. It's been 10 years. It seemed like 10 minutes to me. But we will be celebrating his life, all the lives who have passed around that time, after that time. There were so many. There were 1,300 individuals killed by police statements. I don't have enough mind space to say all their names during the celebration, but we will be celebrating their legacy and their life as well. The first day will be on the 25th. I have some flyers to actually put down so you all can actually choose to sponsor or actually come, bring your family out. We need to know who you are, as well as you need to know who we are and the work and the efforts and the sponsors that are going to be there to provide services and to educate. We may not be able for everybody to attend all 3 events, but there will be a screening of The Blood is at the Doorstep, which is the journey that me and my family decided to take from this community and the people who were the oppressors on that journey. We're also going to have Doctorate Day, celebration, fun, educating. You can sign up with MERA or Mothers for Justice United, my organization, to be a participant. We have a sponsorship package that we will be passing out soon. Any kind of assistance is needed for us to continue to do this work in our community for our people. And thank you all for having me. You can reach me on my social media. Maria A. Hamilton at Facebook, Miss Shug on Instagram, and on my website, Mothers for Justice United. And I look forward to seeing y'all.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Yes, ma'am. Now, as you guys have seen, we did a great presentation. The task force is nothing new. There's so many amazing things that has been done. And as a young man that's still wet behind the ears, I'm still learning some of the fights that took place in the 70s, in the 60s, and even something we learned today about the 50s. And so Ms. Neubauer is going to tell us a little bit about the membership campaign, how you guys can become a part of it, and understand that when Mama Hamilton was up here, there was no mandatory crisis intervention training that took place. So had we not lost Dantre, there would be no CIT training that the officers have that's mandatory 40 hours. So you guys are literally experiencing Black history right now. Let's give a round of applause and welcome to this meeting. Okay, correct. Hey, I gave y'all auntie privilege already. Come on. 30 seconds. It was there.
It
just wasn't
was
working.
multiple CIT trainings around that time. Unfortunately, a lot of the law enforcement officers did not want to take the training. NAMI Greater Milwaukee, we facilitated hours and hours and hours of CIT training. That's when the Dantre Hamilton, when he was murdered, and we wanted to increase the CIT training, and the department totally made it mandatory, and all the officers were against it. It was the hardest thing to do. And so advocacy should have happened around that time, that it would be brought back, but in the way that it was meant to be trained. So we still have a long way to go. We still have a long way to go because there is not effective CIT training now. So that can be part of the advocacy.
And for the folks online, you were just hearing the voice of Miss Brenda Wesley.
Good afternoon, everybody. And thank you for coming to our meeting today and acknowledging that, yes, this is Black History Month, but there should be learning about Black history every day. And a lot of work to do, but had an opportunity to learn from a variety of different formats today. And I think it was a really special day, and thank you to all of our presenters and the dance company. And for filling in the county executive Crowley because he couldn't be here. I would just like to say that every year the Mental Health Task Force has does a membership campaign, and we've been laying pretty low about that. Barbara Becker retired in November officially, and Sally Sumaiyah is our new coordinator. And I have taken on the responsibility of leading the campaign. And you know, it's that time of the year, and the healing comes from the heart. And what I encourage, the way our membership works is we have membership for organizations based on the size of your organization and your operating budget. So if you're a member of an organization, please scan the barcode. I mean, the QR code, not the barcode, wrong generation. The QR code up on the screen. And we've made it very simple to be able to donate today or as an individual, whether it's $1 or $5 or $50. And people ask, what do you get from the Mental Health Task Force? Well, you experience today what you get. You get a lot of information and education. You get an opportunity to be an advocate. You have an opportunity to be involved in legislative input and decision-making in Madison. Each year, we typically have Karen Avery Forum. We didn't have that last year, but this year is going to be really special because it's the 20-year anniversary of the Milwaukee Mental Health Task Force. So this fall, we will be combining the Karen Avery Forum with a very special opportunity to celebrate the 20 years of the Milwaukee Mental Health Task Force. And that wouldn't happen without the membership campaign and the funds that come in, because we receive funding from no one. We receive a little funding from Disability Rights Wisconsin to pay for Sally. But we have no financial stream. We get no money from Milwaukee County. We don't get any money from the state. We get no money from the feds. Everything that we have comes purely from membership. And we do have an educational fund, and we got that fund very graciously from the donation from the for the Murray Perry Foundation. And that was bestowed upon us a couple of years ago after our dear colleague Murray Perry passed away. So today is Healing from the Heart. Tomorrow is Valentine's Day. So think about your heart and opening your heart and giving today to the Milwaukee Mental Health Task Force. And so that's my closing on that. That one other thing, the one thing that we do have that nobody else has, no organization has, is representation on the Milwaukee County Mental Health Board, which is really key and critical. The Mental Health Board has been in existence for 10 years now. Well, it'll be 10 years in a couple of months. And we have representation on there that was bestowed through legislation and by law. And it's not a termed position. It's filled by one of our co-chairs on that board. And so we have quite a bit of oomph in a lot of different ways. We make very important decisions on the budget that runs behavioral health services for the county. That's mental health and substance use services. So for membership of the Mental Health Task Force, there's a lot of bang for the buck here. And I would like to thank and acknowledge the steering committee members that were here and are here today for all their work and commitment and dedication. And Montreal Cain, if you could come up here, please. Oh, he's handing out beverages. Multitasking. Well, one of the things that's happened, I was supposed to be leaving the task force, but I'm staying. We have decided that there's a really big load of work to be done. And the task force steering committee is undertaking the development of bylaws and strategic planning, and under the direction of our fine steering committee members, Tom Reed, Christine, Kyra, Robin, who else is in here? Pete, and I saw who just walked out the door. Curtis just walked out the door. And but one of the things we needed to do in the steering committees, we decided we needed to add some strength to running the operation. So we no longer have co-chairs because doesn't work when you have 4 people. So I would like to take this opportunity today to introduce, we now have a first chair, second chair, third chair, and fourth chair. And the reason it's defined by that is in bylaws, you usually have a first and second chair that have to sign off and document on paper. And it simply was designated by who's been around the longest. And, I've been here for 15 years, so I got tagged. So I am the first chair. Christine is out in the hall. She's the second chair.
Right there.
Oh, Christine, there you are. Christine Apple. And now we have, what did your name say?
Montreal Cain.
And what chair are you?
I don't know.
Uh-huh. No, I don't think it says on there. It's your best chair. So Montreal Cain is our third chair. And who is our fourth chair?
Nicole, Independence First, Wisconsin's very own Miss Nicole. Y'all give it up for
Nicole Damiano is our fourth chair. So the role that I take is going to be switching out a little bit in the next 6 months or so. You won't see me up in front here and doing meetings and things. I'll be doing things in the background. And Montreal will be up here singing for you, so you'll be much, have a lot more entertainment than me. So as far as that goes, but so then there's a lot of changes coming up with the mental health board, so stay tuned. There is a mental health board meeting at 9 o'clock in the morning next week, Thursday, which I think is the 25th.
Second.
22nd. So I can't add dates on the calendar. The 22nd. Thank you, Kyra. And that's held at the Cogs Building in room 104. The finance meeting is at 8 o'clock before. And at that meeting, there will be a change in leadership for the mental health board. A new chair, vice chair, and secretary will be chosen at that meeting. So with that, I have nothing else to say. We are going to have a toast and a celebration. I'd like to invite Brenda Wesley up here, please. And Karen Robinson and Mr. Walker, please come up here.
Yes.
Karen? Karen, hello.
That's you.
Come
Hey, sugar.
up here, please.
Karen.
Would you like to?
Yeah.
Yes.
See, oh my God, you're talking about me.
Karen Nelson. We are doing a toast today in honor of Black History Month. And I'd like you find 3 people to make a toast for Black History Month, Black culture, Black lineage, whatever you want to do as it ties to the mental health task force and society. And here you go. Oh, wait, you gotta get your.
Okay. All right, I'm just, now I'm speechless. I'm never speechless. Okay, spontaneous. Okay, I can do this. I can do this. Okay. Oh, we're going to have a toast. All right. Yeah, I know, absolutely. Gonna toast all the pioneers and all the history. Is this real stuff? Okay. Sorry. So, are we gonna wait till everybody has a cup before we toast? Okay. All right. So while we're doing that, where did Montreal go?
Said bring her one. Said bring her one.
You need a cup over here, Sonya?
All right, I can see.
No, not over here. You got it, you got it. You got it all.
Anybody that doesn't have a cup.
All right. Raise your cups. A toast to the pioneers of the past, to those that's working today, to Black history is not just 1 month. History is history. And so we acknowledge people that are still, and I'll acknowledge people that we have lost, and acknowledge people that still struggling to find their way. So be blessed. And what do you say, Sonya? What is the saying? Blessings? Ashe. All right.
So be it. That's what that means.
So be it, right?
So it is.
All right. Toast.
It is.
And so it may be. Thank you. Yes. Ashe.
Next toast.
Have a beautiful evening.
Oh, no, I guess you gotta give him some work too. It's a couple times.
Yeah, 3 toasts.
All right. See, when you're not in person, you don't get all this. So make sure you get here next time. All right.
You're next.
All right, so I'll add to the first toast, which is We toast to prosperity and Black history, present and future. Ashe. Ashe.
And I'll finish it off by saluting none other than the founder of Ko-Thi, the beautiful combination of arts and mental health today. You see, I'm the mother of a former Ko-Thi dancer who is now a practicing attorney in Maryland. Came out of the Milwaukee Public Schools. And I think if she were here with us in person today, she would be so touched by seeing so much of the same moves that Fern taught her a couple of decades ago. And this is actually also her baby brother's birthday. Stanford II.
Hey, Stan.
Happy birthday. Who is now 31, and Sable, who will soon be 37 on the 27th of this month. And so for continuing tradition, past, thank you, my math is off, thank you. Who will be 38, yes, exactly, the story of the seven. She was 7 years old when he was born, and we are all 7 days apart, derivatives of 7 days apart in the month of February. I'm February 6th, he's the 13th, she will be the 27th, will be her birthday. So for traditions that continue and the circle of life, past, present, and future, Ashe.
Ashe.
Cheers. Thank you.
Thank you guys for coming out. And the last toast.
And thank you to you guys for putting this program together. Thank you very much. Thank you.
If you want to travel fast, travel long. But if you want to travel far, travel together. To the African proverb that has us here, we say Ashe.
Ashe.
All right, get y'all some cookies and some grapes and network. Thank you guys for coming out.
Quarter to 6, we have the room. Socialize. The reality of